Let's do a wet and wet painting of a cosmos and a bee. I'm Michelle Manriquez from Drop That Brush, and I want to help people who are not artists become artists. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Well, the picture, there, the reference picture was actually taken by Nicola, and I really appreciate allowing me to paint this. For this particular painting, I'm wanting a more dreamy feel, not as realistic, a little more loose. I'm gonna do wet and wet. Now, when I truly do wet and wet in this area, I have to actually soak the paper, both sides, because otherwise it dries really fast. So, when you're looking at this, I will wet both sides, and I mean just drenched wet. And I let it expand for about 10 minutes. Then I put more water on. So what I want to show you, I'm going to show you the best techniques I know to be able to control your watercolor in a wet and wet painting. All right, so here I am. I go, tap, tap, paint, okay? Then I hit it. And the whole thing goes, woo! Does that happen to you? Happens to me. Here's the trick. The paint needs to be thicker than you would think. More like a cream. And I would suggest you refer you to my video. That would help you. And the other thing I do is, okay, so I've got my paint, right? So in the ferrule, you don't want to get rid of the paint because you can put paint on it, right? But in the ferrule, I'm going to squeeze. And I might even pick up a little more paint and then go paint. The squeezing motion makes it less likely to just explode. So what you do is you squeeze it, put a little bit on and look. Is it just exploding or no? Okay, it's still exploding. Make the pick thicker and do this. But again, you're going to squeeze right at the ferrule. You don't want to lose the paint because, that not work well. Sometimes when you squeeze too much, you get a dry brush, no matter how wet that paper is. But of course, it stays there. That's always good. This is a fun thing to do. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can just be enjoyable. So let's talk about the picture itself. When I look at the picture itself, my values aren't great. There's not a lot of lights and darks. I have a medium side and a dark side, and that's pretty much it. And that's a little problem. So right from the beginning, I have to recognize that that's going to be an issue. So I'm going to try to make one side lighter, one side darker. And let's see how it goes. That's my thought. When you've identified an issue, you want to have a plan as to what you're going to do. I want a mainly cool painting with pops of yellow. So that's kind of my goal. All right, I'm still playing with my new colors. Brilliant rose violet, could be violet rose. I don't know, one of those two. Anyway, it is a beautiful color. I have a video about brilliant violet rose. I'm going to use my violets. I'll put it in the description below. I'm going to do the complement. So those are the colors I'm doing. And a little blue. So I'm trying to stay mainly in a small, limited palette. Maybe. Sometimes I cheat. Don't forget, you can get my picture, my value sketch, and drawing on Facebook, Drop That Brush, or in the description below. So let's go paint. I have a cute little bee with a Cosmos flower. Are you ready? I want to do this wet on wet. So I'm going to grab my Neptune 4. I'm going to even deeper for a bigger one because I want it totally wet, which means that front and back. And can you see how wet that is? It's like totally wet. And I actually have water on my table. Oh, interesting. Because I have dirt. Okay, that was not good. We're just going to put water on it. All of this can fix itself as long as there's water. And I'm just going to let it kind of soak. And of course, there's got to be some yellow. And I have to figure out what am I going to do. I think I'm going to go with a little bit of cerulean blue for the background. I'm not sure how I'm going to mix for the dark, but yeah, I'll work that in a minute. Let me see. I'm just going to throw some color in. It's going to totally dry light. How fun is that? I love just letting it mix and do its thing. This should be fun. This shouldn't be hard. I am using complementary colors. I am going to have some just bleed in through, which is okay. I'm not worried about that. Okay, when I say it's wet, it's really wet. But look at how pretty that is. Just fun to just play with it. I'm just kind of moving it around, looking at it. Do I want to splatter? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I am going to pull this up. These are going to be my lighter leaves. Okay. So I'm probably going to start right here. And I'm putting on probably cream consistency because it will dry too fast. Now I'm going to kind of go around that little booger. And if it drops through, I'm not really worried about it because I can pull it back out. I do have to have those. Oh, see, I'm getting little blossoms because I'm not paying attention. Okay, pay attention, Michelle. Just going back and forth. I can go straight into the his leg and stuff because I'm going to make it dark. So yellow kind of shoves everything. So I'm making it thick. And I'm just going to do this. And it will shove everything away pretty much. Isn't that lovely? I'm going to get yellow and put it in the center. And if I melt in a little bit, it ain't going to hurt anything. It's one thing, it's fun when you do this because you can really get by with all kinds of fun things. So I'm going to get a little thicker. I'm actually going kind of chowderish. Can you see how thick that is? Just so I have some dark, some lights. I'm not really caring if it looks exactly like the picture. I'm just trying to get an idea, a feeling. And it's still spreading out. It doesn't hurt anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and let some of that do its thing, let it bleed. Now up here, if you can see, it's starting to get dry. And that's okay. And I'm throwing a little purple just to give it a little oomph. Now I got to work on this. Can you see how shiny this is? Over here, it's already starting to not be shiny, which is never a good thing. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm looking at something and I'm just going to think, oh yeah, I got to fix that. No, I don't. No, I don't. This side is the darker side of the flower. So this will be my light side. So I'm gonna have to go a little darker. Okay, maybe not that much darker. Not right yet. I may do it eventually, but let's just kind of wait. I feel that if I did that over here, I'm gonna put a little more dark. Has a kind of a dreamy, soft color, which I really love. That definitely is the whole point of doing wet and wet. I'm gonna move that a little bit. And you can see it's still, and I'm gonna flip this around. This way, you can see how wet it still is. Say I was having problems keeping it wet. There's a couple things. I just want to show you what you can do. So it's not that I'm really having problems, but I just want you to see what you can do. You can come out behind it and just spray on it. Can you see that? And then if I want to, I could also spray on the edges. That little corner I didn't really like, so I'm just gonna add a little color. I'm gonna turn sideways. I don't want it to be too bright. Now, I got water here too, which probably wasn't a good thing, but it's not the end of my world. And I'm just kind of moving it around, letting it do its thing. But I wanted to show you, it's okay to come back, and particularly if you're working wet on wet. You don't like something, go ahead and throw it in more color in it. Yeah, I definitely got some gray tones, didn't I? Good job, Michelle. I'm gonna put some color. I'm gonna squeeze, and I'm gonna use a lot of thicker paint. And basically, all I'm gonna do is get it thick, put it on, and try to control it so it doesn't move too much. I don't mind if it moves a little bit. So I'm just teasing it, trying to get a little feeling so it's not boring. So there's some dark, some light, and I'm not wildly concerned if it's perfect, okay? At least that's my goal, is not to make it perfect. So just getting movement. There, I like that. That's pretty. You know, and that may be the end. I'm gonna do all I'm gonna do on that. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to just tap it and make sure that I don't get any more stuff on my, think about it. I better do this first. Why? Because it's starting to dry. And you can see it's not moving. It's not moving around. It is pretty much just staying where it's supposed to be, which I like. Probably gonna want a little dark between the leaves. What do you think? So if I kind of go here and put a dark, that may look, the leaves look better. Now, see, let's talk about this. This is the top of the bee. That's gonna be dark. So I'm just gonna go ahead, even though it's really not, I'm gonna go ahead and put it just a little bit lighter. Now, I have a lot of bleed through in there. I'm just gonna I'm gonna grab this a little bit, squeeze a little bit. Still very wet. Now, I didn't mean to do that. I just caught that as I came through. It all just kind of melted into that. So what I'm gonna do is I tapped. I'm gonna put water again. Now I'm just gonna bleed in and do its thing again. I'm gonna now work on this. This is my darker side. So let's roll this. And you can see it's not really moving because I'm using very thick paint. This is a technique that allows you to paint wet on wet without making too much messes. It's just fun. This is one of the funnest things you can do, is just to play with it. Now, what's the next driest spot? Probably here, so I better get rolling on that or I'm gonna get in trouble. Now, I think probably need a little thicker. That is dry brush stroke. I don't know how I can do that when I have, but boy, I do have it. Isn't that wild? Watercolor does the funnest stuff. I'm gonna also throw a couple of little light areas just for fun of it. You can see how wet it is. Man, I don't want it to be too dark. I want it to move. And I'm seeing there's different movements in this. This is darker. I don't like this. This kind of moves this way. Do you see the movement? I'm looking for the movement. Just gonna pull out a little bit. And I'm just gonna kind of let it do what it wants to do. Now this is probably the darkest petal, so I'm gonna really pop that. And I'm gonna allow this just to blend into it because I think it's neat. Do you guys do stuff just because it's neat looking? There's a little lighter area right here. And I'm just kind of pulling it out. I'm not... darker than that, right? So I'm just gonna do that, but I'm not gonna fight that little beautiful dark that I have right there. Stuff, I'm gonna flip it around so I can see it go the correct way. That might help. Now let me see, I don't like how that's... So I'm just gonna, I don't know if you can see my brush. I'm just kind of moving with it. The reason I'm doing wet on wet is because I want the bee to be, what's the word? Soft. We need dark. So I'm gonna use the blue wet on an oxide. That'll give me a pretty good color. Still using that big brush. I'm just gonna make sure it's wet. I want it to kind of melt in. And I'm gonna make this darker again, warm, so that as I roll this in here, some of the dark will actually go in there. Okay, I forgot to squeeze and it immediately shoved in over there and I didn't mean it to do that. Look at that, oops. But I got plenty of time. We're just gonna look it around. Maybe I'll tip it a little bit so it doesn't totally go in there. now I've squeezed and I have a lot of paint. I'm gonna get a lighter color up top of his eye. Kind of blend it in softly. I want that eye, doggone it. I want your eye to stay there. Okay, I'm gonna make it really thick to go around the eye. I'm trying to stay, but I don't know if I can get dark enough. I'm gonna try add this. I'm using that in the background. No, I'm not liking that. I don't know if you can see I'm struggling with the color a little bit. Legs, I gotta figure out the legs. Okay, here's the legs. Here's one leg. On top. I want you to recognize that, okay, where's the bee versus the, kind of lost a little bit of the wing, so I'm going to come through because I want it to show, but not hard. Seems to be a third leg right here. Well, I'm looking at the values. Does the bee show, or have I totally blown the values? I'm a little concerned about that because I don't feel that I got the value quite right. So let me look at this. Sorry, as I'm seeing things I could grab, I'm gonna. Here's the underneath of the, and I think I'll just make it a very light color that will pop. So you can see that there's some of that is actually light, and I'm gonna get darker. The colors that I used, I'm having a hard time getting dark, and I'm just don't want to use what I want to use. If I take just a tad of this this blue, it'll totally get it dark, but I was just trying not to use it. I literally am using just a little itty bitty bit. It's kind of funny. All right. That wing again and make sure that I haven't totally covered things up. I've never done wings before, so I'm not totally sure I'm doing it very good, but I'm trying. Now I'm kind of squinting to see, do I need to make things lighter around the bee so I really pop the bee? This value is the same. I think I need to make that a little prettier. So either has to go darker or lighter, and I'm debating which one I want to go. I think I'm going to continue on with this little lighter color because I'm trying to figure out a way to make it shine good. Yeah, that helps a little bit. think we need little dots and stuff in there. And I want to put a very loose wash off of on the wings, so it's not quite so dark. I may pull a couple things out. For the moment though, this is looking okay. I love this. I think this is fun, but I do want to a little darks. So I'm gonna go with a smaller brush. So that you see that there is where I want you to look at. This is the most important thing, is that B, that round that B. Here, look at me. So the darkest dark, the lightest light. And I think I'm gonna do a little splatter. Maybe even splatter there. Yeah, maybe a little blue too. Maybe I'll just take my finger and boop, make a little mess. Oh, I like that. That makes me happy. Okay, I'm just having way too much fun. All right, I'm not sure that I like the background. Just a second, I'm gonna roll this around a little darker. I like this. You know, you got to think about, what is it that you like about it? Is there things that I need to fix? I kind of like that this just goes out, that there's nothing there. All right, I'm still debating, do I want to do anything with the background? I kind of like it just how it is. It's not fussy. I just kind of allowed it to do whatever it wanted to do, and I didn't, you know, mess with it much. And I'll have to be careful, because otherwise what's going to happen? I need to drop the brush real soon here, because I can see I'm going to get probably messes. Just want a little more color there. You know what? Drop that brush. I'm going to blow dry it. We're going to look at it, but I think if I play anymore, I'll probably get a mess. I'm debating about if I want to do more than with the wings. All right, I'm going to just play with the wings a little bit, maybe. I may get my towel ready. Would like a little piece right here that kind of pops. There's actually is a big area that's light. Let me just pull that out. That's easy. Oh yeah, that made me more a wing like. Okay, I like that. Wet and wet, and actually allowing it to be wet and wet and just kind of let it go. You have to be kind of brave, right? It really is kind of scary. And you know what though? It's really fun. Well, you know, I'm looking at this. My daughter says to me, and I quote, "Mom, you're not very good at bees." I'm like, hey! I really still don't like, it's this shape that's bugging me. And so I wanted to show you, if I destroy it, I'll never know you see it. But if I don't destroy it, then I'll go ahead and I'll show you, and you can laugh at me. I really wanted this to be so much lighter than it came. Well, so far, that's ugly. All right, I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. So I was able to get quite a bit of this out. So never think that you can't fix stuff. But sometimes it doesn't look good afterwards. So I'm just gonna let that dry a little bit. I'm gonna make the leg much more, so let's be a little more thoughtful. All right, I can see my shapes wasn't very great. And I'm not making sure that there is the joints. So let me add the joints. Here, little joints. I'm gonna check my head shape. Maybe my head shape's a little off too. That could also be why she's saying, that look like a bee. Oh yeah, I guess. Wasn't supposed to be perfect. All right, let me get some blacks. Sure if I'm doing worse or better doing this, but I'm just gonna kind of chill with it for a minute and play a little and see if that was not a good idea, which, you know, it could be the So I've given in some little ins and outs of joints and stuff. I hope that helps. Maybe it's the shape. I'm looking at the shape now. Let's make this really dark right here. Make it worse? That's the always question. Should I have just left it alone? See, somebody else would never see it, but I see that I mucked with it too much. And you know, I do hate that. Because, you know, yeah. I think it's as good as I'm gonna get. Probably shouldn't have messed with it at all. Let's blow dry it and I'll show you what I did. It's okay. It doesn't make me very happy. I really don't like playing with things. Well, sometimes things don't always go as planned, you know? And I want to share with you, when things don't go right, the first thing you check is your drawing. Did you draw something wrong? See, I was trying to do it loose, so I wouldn't care. Yeah, that didn't work. The second thing is, something you don't like, it's almost always about values. So, which I fixed. I'm not sure which one is better. I'm not even sure it made a difference, and I did all that work. But I wanted you to see me trying to fix it. And I didn't destroy it, which is always a good thing. When you go back to fix things, give yourself a couple of days to just look at it. Think about it. Because sometimes you don't need anything. Sometimes you can say, oh, it just doesn't quite look right. Then do as little amount and get out. That's your goal. Doesn't always happen, but that's your goal. Because then the more you play, the more you make a mess. So I came out okay. I can live with it. It's not my favorite painting, but you know what? I will do maybe 1 out of 10 that I love. And the rest of them are like, this is wrong, that's wrong. I just see all these awful things. And you probably do that too. But the reality is, if somebody would take your painting and look at it, they would see, wow, that is an amazing painting. Because they don't see the little lines and the boo-boos and the things. They just see the whole picture. Even though you may not like it, somebody else could love it. It's interesting. Art is very subjective. If you want to paint on with me, make sure you check out the picture, the value sketch, and the drawing in the descriptions below. Don't forget, after you've done the painting, put it on my Facebook page. Drop that brush. I would love to see what you're doing. As I watched this video, I was like, drop that brush. Oh my God, drop that brush. So you know what? Drop that brush when things are not going well. Like, subscribe, and ring that bell. You have a wonderful week. Bye.